Intelligent Systems is well known for creating excellent strategy games. The studio is responsible for the prolific and beloved Fire Emblem series, as well as the dearly missed Advance Wars series. Now they've decided to take a different approach with codenamed S.T.E.A.M, which trades swords and tanks for all manner of steam-powered gadgetry. Saturated in Americana and Silver Age comic book charm, the game takes familiar concepts and packages them in new appealing ways. With challenging objectives, varied map layouts, and tons of character choices, codenamed S.T.E.A.M is a complex game that's hard to put down. The S.T.E.A.M acronym stands for Strike Team Eliminating the Alien Menace, and it tells you almost everything you need to know. An unknown alien group has invaded a steampunk version of the past, and a special force known as S.T.E.A.M is committed to stomping them out. Led by none other than Abraham Lincoln, the team is comprised of popular and iconic American characters such as Tom Sawyer, the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz, and John Henry, a folk hero who, according to the story, once out-hammered a steam-powered machine.
I've been hurt worse!
During cutscenes, the action is often framed by comic book panels, and sounds are visualized with giant words like boom, pow, and crash, giving the game an endearingly campy tone. Characters are exaggerated to great effect, such as Henry Fleming's Superman-esque jaw and John Henry's booming voice. It all feels like one giant Saturday morning cartoon in the most classic sense, with pure-hearted heroes fighting to save the world. While it's certainly not the most intricate narrative, codenamed S.T.E.A.M embraces its simplicity and embellishes its more outlandish concepts. The game knows exactly what it's going for, making each step as fun and inviting as it should be, by never taking itself too seriously. Seeing Abraham Lincoln pilot an enormous mech version of himself is hilariously ludicrous. The whole thing is filled with many equally absurd moments that keep things entertaining.
And I'm ready to blow off some steam!
Good luck, agents. Make me proud.
How the game plays is far more conventional. Similar to Valkyria Chronicles, the turn-based battles take place on gridded maps, and players have direct control over 4 squad members. Every action, such as moving and shooting, costs steam, which is then replenished at the beginning of the next turn. Characters can also save steam and assume an overwatch position with certain weapons, allowing them to shoot any aliens that enter line of sight during the enemy turn.
Alien sighted!
These elements have been done before in numerous other games, but the things that make codenamed S.T.E.A.M so successful are the sometimes brutal enemies and thoughtful level design. Since enemies can use Overwatch as well, you have to very cautiously step forward. One major annoyance is waiting for enemy turns to finish. Most last around 30 seconds, which may not sound like a lot, but since it happens constantly, the time adds up quickly and drags down the pacing. The layout of each mission encourages carefully considered tactics. Some missions take place in crowded environments where it's easy for aliens to hide in corners and catch stray squad members by surprise. Others occur in wide open spaces where your team is surrounded on all sides. During these situations, positioning is everything, and knowing when to use Overwatch can make all the difference. What you're doing from mission to mission is appreciably varied. In one mission, you'll thaw out frozen survivors on the London Bridge. Another has you leading Queen Victoria through Buckingham Palace. Regardless of the objective, each mission feels finely tuned. The game is consistently challenging, but never so difficult that it becomes frustrating. There were times when we scraped by with a single team member left alive. Another strong aspect is how much choice is given to the player. Eventually, you'll unlock 12 distinct characters, each with their own unique weapon, passive abilities, and special abilities. Every character has specific strengths and weaknesses. Tom Sawyer, for instance, can stun enemies with his punch gun, but he's so fragile that he can only take a few hits.
Oh, yeah!
It's all balanced in such a way that it's impossible to cover all your bases. Several times, we started a mission only to wish we'd brought someone else along. Yet having to make such decisions is what keeps codenamed S.T.E.A.M captivating for its duration. It also makes replaying past missions enjoyable, since different team configurations substantially change how things play out.
Oh, you are so dead.
In addition to the campaign, players can fight against each other in online or local multiplayer. Available modes include Deathmatch, Medal Battle, and ABE Battle. Medal Battle is a race to see who can collect the most medals in 5 turns, and ABE Battle puts both players in giant robots in a fight to the death. However, both modes are barely worth discussing since there's so little to them. Standard Deathmatch is far stronger, but even so, it's not nearly as interesting as the campaign. While it's initially appealing to face off against a more flexible and quick-witted human opponent, the maps are relatively small. As a result, matches are quick and predictable. The 60-second timer per player turn is also annoying since it isn't quite enough time to effectively plan things out. As a whole, multiplayer feels like a missed opportunity.
Knock it down!
The game is rather smart with character progression. New sub-weapons, which everyone can equip, are unlocked by collecting medals spread across each map and earned by defeating enemies. More medals are earned by getting Overwatch kills, and since many of the sub-weapons are so useful, it's incentive to play as tactically as possible. Similarly, boilers control how much steam a character has, and more boilers are unlocked by gathering gears generally placed in hard-to-reach locations. You'll have to decide whether or not a gear is worth it, since the effort will more than likely put you directly in harm's way. Beyond adding an interesting risk and reward dynamic, the gears also make exploration matter in a very tangible way.
Time to show my steel.
Those with an older 3DS and without a Circle Pad Pro will have to use either the stylus or face buttons to look around. Both are less than ideal and can make things like headshots occasionally difficult. That being said, we found the face buttons preferable in most situations. The extra nub on the new 3DS XL and the Circle Pad Pro are even better, but expect to still struggle a bit in certain situations.
Hold on, we're on our way.
Another issue is that it's sometimes difficult to gauge how characters or enemies will react in certain situations. It's unclear what the range is for enemy Overwatch attacks, leading to instances where you take unnecessary damage because you lacked information. Also aggravating is when your characters use Overwatch and are staring straight at an enemy, but fail to hit them. There's probably internal logic governing these decisions, but since that isn't always clearly communicated, it can put you at a disadvantage.
No time to explain. We must hurry.
Yet ultimately, codename S.T.E.A.M represents an exciting new direction for intelligent systems. More than once, we found ourselves intending to complete just a mission or two and wound up playing for 5 or 6 hours straight. It may not have the long legacy of other strategy titles, but the game proves that in many ways, it's just as capable.
Don't be alarmed, Your Majesty. My friends and I are here to help.